In wake of Courtland Sutton signing his contract extension yesterday, another Denver Broncos player who's seeking a new deal has spoken out. Entering training camp, there were 4 priority players for the Denver Broncos to hand out extensions to: Sutton, Nik Bonitto, Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers. It was a little bit surprising on the surface to see Courtland Sutton get done first, but when you peel back the layers of the onion, it makes sense. Terry McLaurin is in line to get a contract extension with the Washington Commanders, and the Broncos knew that McLaurin was likely to inflate the wide receiver market. They wanted to get ahead of that, and now McLaurin's deal is probably going to be smaller as a result of Sutton only getting $23 million a year. But now the Broncos can turn their attention to the other players on that list. I've spoken ad nauseum on this channel how I feel like Zach Allen needs to be paid by the Denver Broncos. I feel like they should have gotten the deal done with him days ago. But another player that a lot of people in Broncos country want to get paid has spoken out on Sutton's extension. I want to go ahead and bring in this article from Luca Evans of the Denver Post. In wake of Sutton's deal, Nik Bonitto has no worries that the Broncos will strike a deal with him. So we think about Nik Bonitto, who recently held a youth football camp out at Chatfield High School. He talked to the media and he said that a deal was close. He said that further today. He said that I know I have a great agent and I know he'll take care of that. I have 100% trust in him, and I know the Broncos want me to be here as well. So at the end of the day, I have no worries that they'll figure out whatever they need to figure out. Nik Bonitto's just focusing on playing football. He's been out there participating in a full capacity in all training camp drills. So I'm not concerned about Nik Bonitto holding out or anything like that, or even holding in the case of Courtland Sutton. He was here so he wouldn't get fined, but he wasn't out there participating in any of the drills. I feel like Nik Bonitto, he's all in and committed to showcasing to the Denver Broncos why he deserves an extension. He did that last year, and if he has to do that at least part of the way this year, I think that he's embracing that. He knows that there's still some reserved doubts about his game, especially in the run defense. Also, when you look at some of the advanced pass rush statistics, they're not as good as things appear on the surface when he has 13.5 sacks. I understand the production's there, but a lot of his sacks last year were cleanup sacks, and a lot of them were the beneficiary of having Zach Allen on the other side eating up double teams in order to give him a one-on-one matchup. So for Nik Bonitto, I think that deep down the Broncos want him to go out there and prove that he can do it again, so it doesn't end up like a Vic Beasley situation where he's a one-hit wonder for the Atlanta Falcons and then does nothing for the rest of his career. I'm not saying that's going to be the case with Nik Bonitto. I think he's got excellent work ethic. I think he's determined to get better every single day. But the Denver Broncos have the ability to be patient here because of the sheer depth they have at edge rusher. Everybody's making plays out at training camp. From Jonah Ellis to Dondre Tillman, who's been absolutely fantastic, to Johnny Walker Jr., my guy out of Missouri, to even Andrew Farmer, the guy at the very back end of the edge rush depth chart. Every single edge rusher on this team has stepped up and made plays in training camp. So the Broncos can afford to be patient with Nik Bonitto because it's not a pressing need to pay him. On the defensive line, guys are standing out left and right as well, but I talked about this in our deep dive series a little bit earlier on this month. If you were to remove Zach Allen from the equation, everybody's production on the defensive line would dip. He is the straw that stirs the entire drink on the defensive line. That is why I think it is so important to get Zach Allen done as soon as humanly possible. But with Nik Bonitto, you can be patient just because of the sheer amount of depth that you have at edge rusher. Bonitto is not focused on any of the outside noise. I know he's not focused on anything that I'm going to say in this video. He's just focused on balling out. That's why he's paying his agent how much money he's paying him. I don't know how much agents make, but I'm assuming it's in the millions of dollars, and he's giving his agent a crap ton of money in order to negotiate this long-term deal. So the agent's going to want to do right by the player here. I know Nik Bonitto trusts his agent, so at the end of the day, I'm confident the Broncos are going to dish out these contracts. What the order is in terms of the players getting those deals, I don't know. I would prefer it to be Zach Allen, but if we see another edge rusher sign a contract extension, especially one on Bonitto's caliber, that sort of resets the market again, we could see the Denver Broncos sort of scramble a little bit more quickly to get a deal done with Bonitto. We'll see what happens there. All right, Broncos country, let me know in the comments section below. How do you feel about the Denver Broncos extending Nik Bonitto? Should they do it now, or should they wait until a little bit later on in the season just so he can prove that he can do it again? I know we've had this conversation before on the channel, but it's really interesting to have now, considering that now we're starting to see these contract extensions come down the pipeline for the Denver Broncos. Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a member today. It literally helps pay my bills, so I would greatly appreciate if you would consider it. Link is in the description below. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.